Thank you so much. It's an honor to talk in front of you today. So I'm gonna talk something very basic, very fundamental, yes, historically became quite controversial. Almost like whether Kentucky bourbon is really the best or not. Well, I'm not gonna answer that, but I'm gonna tell you one thing that we all want. We want our roads as smooth as our whiskey. But unfortunately, usually that's not the case. A little bit about me. So I love soils, I love geomaterials, I don't mind my hands getting dirty. I am fascinated how Mother Earth provided us with these materials and we shaped them into our infrastructure. I think it's pretty impressive. So for almost 7 years, I worked both in the field and in the lab on geomaterials. And the last few years' focus was mostly on pavement foundation layers. And yes, they are still soils, okay? So don't just zone out yet. It's gonna be interesting. Well, over the years, I realized something troubling. I realized that in geotechnical circles, pavement foundation layers treated as an afterthought, barely discussed, almost invisible. And when I was preparing my speech, I wanted to see what other Geo-PIT talks was about. And unfortunately, amazing speeches, but unfortunately, I couldn't find anything about this. So this is the first time we are talking about this. Transportation industry, now I work for DOT, but things are not quite different there either. But I think it's important to ask this. Who is going to take the ownership for these layers? Because if no one does, we all pay the price. And both economically and environmentally, we can't afford paying the price, moving forward. So my colleagues and I, they have tried so many different ways to make our case solid. Data analysis, field tests, laboratory tests, but I'm gonna try something different today to make it a little bit more fun. I'm gonna bring out the big guns, a poem. I'm gonna read you a poem because I really feel that if Shakespeare was alive today, he would be talking about foundation layers. This one is called What Lies Beneath. We pour the concrete, set it fast, smooth the asphalt, make it last. Yet what's beneath we fail to see, the silent base, its fate left free. Ignored too long, it breaks, it sways, yet bears the weight of modern days. We build, we fix, and we build again, but at what cost and to what end? So, thank you very much. So the hidden problem, virtually every structure is supported on soils. Those which are not either fly, float, or fall over, says Dr. Richard Handy. And pavements are no exception to that. They're not flying, they're not floating, but they're falling over for sure, one pothole at a time, or one crack at a time. There's something really important about our roads. Roads, we rely on our roads with our food, with our medicine, with our clothing. Everything we own, everything we use, we rely on our roads. And not just that, roads have social aspect too. Roads connect us, roads bring us together. They take us to destinations that we want to go. They bring us amazing conferences like this. But this is not a perfect love story. Because while we are taking the benefit of them, we are also contributing their deterioration. And it might sound like a problem, but it's not, because they're engineering designs, right? They are consumed. They're designed to be consumed. The problem is 1 in 5 miles of US roads fails prematurely, not because of traffic, not because of concrete or asphalt, just because they were constructed on poor foundation layers. And I think that's a big number. So why is this happening? So I'm going to try to break it down to you with 4 main reasons, and I'm going to start with the easiest one, technical reasons. Geomaterials are the most variable civil engineering materials. And unfortunately, they are the least tested and least verified component of pavement engineering. And those two, they don't go well together, right? Education and mindset problem. So when we are raising the future engineers, young minds. We talk about the fancy, shiny things, the steel structures, smooth highways, all those very fancy-looking engineering designs. But are we really doing our best, emphasizing the importance of foundation layers? And not just pavement foundation layers, even the importance of geotechnical engineering compared to other branches of civil engineering. And the problem is when these young engineers make their transition into their professional life, they are biased towards the shiny, fancy things. So in our context, their solution is becoming a surface maintenance and just fixing the surface, but nothing focusing on the layers below the surface. And do you think that's really working? I don't think so. Advocacy and public perception. Only very few people lobby about foundation layers. Nobody says that, hey, guys, we are still using this method, has proven that it's not working, let's stop using it. Only few people say. And I'm actually referring something real. I'm referring Westergaard's key value method for rigid pavements. That method was developed during the exceptional times of World War II as a temporary solution for safe landings and takes off of the planes. And historically, it was proven by brilliant minds that it's not working, but yet decades later, we are still using it as it was developed for modern infrastructure need. The last one, industry. And I really need to be careful here because I don't want to get canceled. I'm early in my career. I love what I'm doing, so I'm going to choose my words very wisely. So we all know that making the foundation stronger means that less frequent repairs, right? And that's not very good for business because we know that with 1% additional cost to project, you can actually prevent the premature failure. And that's not speculation, it's just data. And I think I can throw a bunch of big numbers here proving the relationship between the economy and also the roads. And those numbers would be around billions and billions of US dollars. But I think this very famous quote, often attributed to US President JFK, is doing a great job. American roads are not good because America is rich, but America is rich because American roads are good. So now I want to ask, if this is the case, if roads are the foundation of our wealth, why are we treating their own foundation layers as an afterthought? Again, I can give you so many numbers, but I want to keep it simple. It is as simple as making the roads last longer, making the dollar bills last longer. Environment. And this might be perceived as a controversial topic in today's zeitgeist, but I don't think so, because before we are engineers, researchers, policymakers, decision makers, we are human. And we all need basic things. We need a clean air. We need a healthy environment to enjoy with our loved ones. And when we are deciding things on the economical point of view, we also have consequences on the environmental side. Anytime we extract, process, and transport new materials, we are not just overusing or wasting, we are also causing a burden on our planet. And it's not just that, these sources are not infinite, right? So we are causing a depletion. And I think it's important to remember we are not the only ones who are living on this earth. There were many before us, and hopefully there's going to be many after us too. And I think it's really important to think that. So I'm hoping that so far I at least did a good job to explain how this is affecting our economy, environment, but I'm going to get honest here right now. So this is a very intractable problem because constantly different interests and priorities are clashing with each other. And let me give you an example. Our decision makers have a very difficult decision to make every day. And they have to decide with available money, they have to decide either they're going to fix a small section from ground up, or they're just going to use the same amount of money, they're going to fix the surface for miles and miles and longer. And as taxpayers, we're not making their job any easier because, I'm going to give the example from from my experience, I would prefer, smooth roads right now, not 20 years later, not 30 years later, because I don't know where I'm gonna be in 30 years, right? And if I really had a choice to make, I would prefer the roads that I'm driving every day get fixed other than some small section of a highway that I never drive. But is this really the best way moving forward? I don't know. I mean, is this even sounding like a problem to you, or are we being just a bunch of enthusiastic people thinking that this is a big problem? Well, maybe yes, maybe not, but our data shows that we have a problem. We have a problem coming at our face very fast. But fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, pavement failures, they don't happen overnight. They're not catastrophic. They're not life-threatening. So when there's a pothole formed, it's not on the breaking news, right? And it's also an horizontal problem, means that when you look at the vertical cross-section, you're just seeing a bunch of layers and they're not even, thick compared to other applications. But it is actually a big spatial problem. Plus, it is the cheapest in that structure compared to asphalt and concrete. So we have also these things that are not working in favor of us. Well, I want to ask you if there is any solution. I don't know, but I will leave that up to you as a food for thought, and I'm going to close it with another poem. And this one is called Take the Road. I wanted to close with a poem because ChatGPT helped me writing great poems too, so a little bit of credits to that as well. All right. We have listened close, we have truly seen the unseen ground beneath the scene. Glad you were here to stand within. Now take the road and think within. Thank you very much.